as Curry nails a three-pointer. And it's Thompson for three. Puts it in. Thompson rattles it home to tie the game. Draymond Green tries a three. It's good. Draymond Green drills the three. And that'll do it. The Warriors do it again. Another comeback as they defeat the Blazers here in overtime and advance to their fifth consecutive NBA Finals.
The Toronto Raptors are through to the NBA Finals for the first time, and waiting for them are the two-time defending champions Golden State Warriors, who are looking for a three-peat. And to give us a preview of the finals between the Warriors and the Raptors, we still have Coach Topex and, of course, Major Payne, Eric Meng. So, the Raptors in the finals for the first time in their franchise history, 24 years in the making, but they play the Golden State Warriors. Now, you're smiling, Eric, and I'm sure a lot of Golden State fans don't feel the same way because they're not 100%. The injuries to Andre Iguodala, Kevin Durant, that puts the title hopes of Golden State kind of up in the air. So how do you think this will affect Golden State as they try to go for that three-peat?
Well, I think they are still pretty confident. They've won 4 or 5 playoff games in a row now in the West, which everybody considers stronger than the East. And they've won in the past without Kevin Durant and without Boogie Cousins. So they're the favorites, even though they don't have home court. But I do feel that they wish they were 100%. If Toronto can make it interesting and make it a longer series, I think that works in their favor. But Golden State's Golden State. They have the experience. They know they have the extra gear. So they're still very confident going into this series, I imagine.
And they won their last 5 games without KD, so they're looking good, even without Iguodala also in the last couple of games. Coach Topex, you were talking about how it's a huge factor that the first game will be in Toronto, and it's crazy how they got home court advantage by winning just one more game than Golden State. With the momentum, with the inspired city behind the Raptors, do you think that they have what it takes to win the championship?
I'm going to go deeper here, Anton. I mean, as much as, yes, Toronto's been crazy about their basketball, but you're talking about a team that has a clear view of their culture. I mean, you're not just missing KD, them winning games, just like what Coach Eric mentioned, but they've lost even their head coach, who were supposed to be the brains of the team, but they were still winning. So, yes, Durant is going to be important in that series, but it's not just Durant that's going to have a problem with. The reason why I'm saying this is because the strength of Golden State, which is their perimeter and their outside shooting, was the weakness of Milwaukee. So Milwaukee was forced to attack the paint, which was the strength of Toronto. So now the tides are turned because that's the strength of Golden State.
All right, let's try to break down the matchup in terms of the positions. Let's start at the point guard position. Kyle Lowry and Steph Curry. Coach Eric, who has the advantage here? Maybe defensively, Kyle Lowry will have a hard time running through screens, trying to chase Curry. What do you think will happen in terms of this matchup?
Well, it's a great matchup. Lowry's an all-star, but I don't think he's at the level of Steph Curry. You also wonder as well in that matchup, Lowry's a very pesky defender, and he's also a shot maker. However, if he's using a lot of energy, chasing Steph Curry around and having to guard the ball screen continuously, will that take away his legs at the offensive end? Will he be able to make shots at a high clip, even though he's exerting a lot of effort defensively? I think that's one thing to look for in this series.
And I know, Coach Topex, you are very high on Fred VanVleet, who played heavy minutes in that game number 6. How do you think this will come into play, VanVleet's presence and his support to Kyle Lowry?
Defensively, it's going to be huge if he could support Kyle Lowry defending the guards of Golden State. So the challenge here now for Toronto is, I mean, yes, they have to. They're just not gonna be a good defensive team, but they have to play really, really tough defense against a team that really spreads the floor, who has a lot of movements. Just like what Coach Eric mentioned, you got to be moving, and then you also have to score, because you need the support. You need to support your main guy. So I'm sure it's gonna be their place is gonna be loaded, and I'm just excited on how it's gonna turn out for Toronto.
One of the biggest questions in this series is who is going to guard, or how are the Golden State Warriors going to guard Kawhi Leonard? How would you do it?
Man, it's tough. He has been on a roll this playoffs, and he's proven against some of the top defenders in the league that he can score. It's certainly going to hurt Golden State if they don't have Iguodala or if he's not 100%.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant being there, again, if he comes back, what is he going to be 100% to where he might be able to take on some of that? So the idea of Golden State having 2 or 3 guys to throw at him would be a nice thing to have, but if they're just going to rely on Iguodala, you wonder how will he be able to hold up through a series if it goes long. But Kawhi's going to be Kawhi. I think a lot of it is going to be dependent upon some of the role players, but watching Kawhi Leonard play this playoffs has been a joy. He's been spectacular.
How about you, Coach Topex? What type of defensive schemes do you envision Golden State creating to try to stop or contain Kawhi?
That's going to be a big challenge because, yes, they're missing KD's offense, but they're going to need that guy because for me, he's the only guy that I could think could guard Kawhi. You know, he has the speed, he has the length. So I think this is the reason why I'm saying it's going to be a long series, because those are the things that I'm sure Toronto will try to look at, especially their main guys playing that position where Golden State is lacking defensively.
All right, before we wrap up this discussion, I know a lot of people are already talking on social media, talking on the street, at their homes about their predictions. And I know, Major Payne, you're not afraid with sharing with us your predictions. What is your prediction for this final series between Golden State and Toronto? And I'm going to ask you the same question as well, Coach Topax.
I'm going to use a fairly conservative prediction for me anyways. I'll say Golden State in 6. However, I do think that Toronto has a very good chance, maybe more of a chance than most people are giving them, and especially if they can win the first 2 games at home. If they can lock down defensively like they have in the prior 2 series, and their role players can make open shots, I think they have a great shot. But Golden State in 6.
Golden State in 6. What about you, Coach?
I have to agree with Coach Erickson that I'll be happy if it goes 6 because of that home court advantage. They're gonna ride off that momentum. I'm sure the whole of Canada will be crazy, supporting them, and that's why it's gonna be a longer one. But again, Golden State.
That's for sure. Thank you so much, Coach Topex and Coach Eric. PBA legends in the house, Topex Robinson and Eric Meng. Also, for more coverage on the NBA playoffs, go to sports.abs-cbn.com. Still ahead, we'll check out last weekend's PVL games, so stay with us. The Score will be right back.